Good morning, traders. Venderman here with your NQ pre-market prep with FuturestraderElite. We're at the last day of the week. Hope everybody's had a good trading week so far. Let's pull this chart up on NQ and take a look. This is set on the 2-hour right now, and I know it's kind of like looking at a lot with all these lines and boxes and everything and colors on here. So I want to hide this real quick before we jump in to look at a couple things. Let's hide them tools. So just looking at the structure with nothing on here, something I was looking at earlier, we're trading at around 700 right now. You can see that we're closing in on this head and shoulders we've been discussing, and this over here, like it wants to, maybe try to eye going towards a new all-time high, which is right here. But something I want to keep in mind is we had this drop, which we discussed day by day in pre-market prep. We got this turnaround. Now the question is are we going to get this push for the all-time high? And if we do, are we going to get some kind of pullback before we get there? Like, are they going to try to drag this down before they push this up high enough to tag that all-time high? Because it's still quite a ways away. Not quite 1,000 points. I think it's about 800 or so. We can try to take a look at that real quick. We're somewhere right up here is around 404, so yeah, around 700. So NQ can move that in a day, right? I guess we can hit it today, but I doubt that's going to happen. But you never know. But back to, what if they want to pull this back before they make that push? And I was really studying this structure this morning pretty early before I made up my mind, and I really think that if they do, I think our line in the sand is going to be 360 to 375. And the reason I say that is because that is this area, right? This S2 pivot is at 374, which has nothing to do with why I'm talking about this area. It just so happens it falls inside that range, which is a plus for us as far as confluence. But I'm looking at this right here. This spot, this spot, this spot, all this back here. And then I was looking at this structure just on a blank chart, and that's like I said, that's about 360 to 375 area. Now let's go back and put the drawings back on here, because this is what I did earlier this morning. I was about to put some drawings on there, but then I put them back on, the ones I already had. And right here is that area that we was talking about. And I already had a precision entry zone box there. There's that S2 pivot right here. And then we got a previous all-time high at 366. That precision entry zone is from 370 to 377. And then we got this 30-point zone box here. So I was just basically looking at the structure with no drawings to see what our line in the sand really needs to be if they decide to pull this back from where we are now before we get another good push. And we already had the drawings in place pretty much for that area. So this S2 pivot, this 375 area, is going to be a number to keep in mind. And then just surround yourself with about 30 points there, possibly for the sweep below it. It could never even get there. If we pull back, it might get to the yellow line above it, which is close to 400. It likes them whole numbers. So if we got a pullback, you got to be thinking, you know, we're right here. If it pulled all the way down to this yellow line and the S2 pivots right there, we could get a bounce off this yellow line and go back. I mean, that's we're at 700. That'd be a 300 point drop. Didn't I say that line's at 400? Almost 400. So yeah, about 300 point. You know, if you got a pretty hard down move and it went 300 points, I'd be willing to risk quite a bit on this yellow line, holding a tight stop, that it was going to first reaction bounce there and probably V all the way back up. I guess I don't want to waste too much time on that, but everybody needs to be thinking about that area right there, that 400 right there, and then line in the sand being that S2 pivot, because if we break below that, it's okay if it sweeps it, but if we break below and it starts going down again, we got to relook at its structure. I'm bringing that number up because structure-wise, it needs to hold there to keep its structure looking right for that push up. Not saying it can't go down and come down to this S3 pivot and it still turn around, but it would look better for us to get there and bounce back up. So with that said, let's kind of look at what else we might have here today. All right, so here's that head and shoulder pattern back here. We need to break through this red line and this R1 pivot. You see it tested it, got rejected pretty hard right there, it looks like. Got rejected pretty good there, and then come down pretty good. You know, that 745 rejected down to about 690, 685. We need to break through that line. Now we got our trend line over there, our overhead trend line, which isn't on the wick. We need to get through the 740. We need to break through that trend line, the R1 pivot. Then we got this blue line here, which is at 763, 765. These blue lines up here, 812, 828. And just so for reference, when you see most of these blue lines on my chart in pre-market prep, if you are taking notes on them, you need to front run them by about 5 points for entry, more than likely. Not saying it won't get to that line, but I would front run them by at least 5 points probably. So it just depends on your style of trading and your risk management, I guess. But just for reference, for me, they're on there, but I would be front running them by 5 points, at least 5. They're just quick reference guides for me during the day, and then I don't want y'all to think necessarily that, oh, that's where I'm going to place a trade or something. You know, that's all we're going to look at to the upside, because we're having a struggling time getting through all this resistance. And all week I've been talking about these levels and how hard it was going to be, you know, to break through them all. So we might not get through them today. You know, we might, if we can get through the R1 pivot and trend line, we might get up to I don't think we'll go past 850 to 860 without some pretty good rejection. So, and then to the downside for today, we got our golden pivot at 617. I like that. That's about 100 points away right now. I would love to see a move pretty fast to that pivot. I would love to play a first reaction off of that. And then, you know, if we get below 617, the golden pivot, we need to be probably going to be eyeballing something in the 585 range, and then in the 660, 665 range, and then you got your S1 pivot. 503, it's inside a zone box, which is even better. And then I also have this other blue line that's down here inside the zone box, which is 487. I'd front end that to about 493 to that pivot. 493 to 503. So you could if we get down there, you might get a sweep of that pivot. That's all I really want to look at to the downside for now. You can I still have some of the precision entry zones down here. They're still in effect. This one's from 420 to 428, could go 430. This one's got a previous all-time high at the top of the zone box, plus the precision entry zone from 370 to 376, and that's that area right there that we was talking about. If we get a pullback, I can't see them taking all this out. They might get to the bottom of this green box right here, which is at 330, but it won't be there long. I think if they can pull back here, I really think we're going to get the bounce to the upside for the drive to try to take out higher highs, an all-time high. But first we'd have to see it get down there and how it reacts. This here is it. This whole little area right here. We got this precision entry zone, this zone box, this precision entry zone, previous all-time high, S2 pivots up here in this box. We got a whole lot going on in this area right here. So that's going to be all I have for today. I appreciate everyone's support. Smash that like and subscribe and leave a comment on there. It helps push it out to the algorithm. Everybody stay sharp today. Try to stay green. If you have any questions, tag me in the Discord. If you're new here, you can come join the Discord for free. Links are in the bio. And let's have a good trading day today. I'll see you guys in the Discord and in the trading recap.